Cookie.
Ring, ring. Ring, ring. Say hello, Cookie.
Kimmy.
Hello.
Hey, what you doing?
A lot, I'm out here just living.
We moving slow. It's snowing outside.
I don't feel like I'm moving that slow. I actually feel like, how like Christmas comes and
March is here, I guess.
it gets really fast up to Christmas Eve, and then every hour for Christmas Eve feels like its own day. That's
my
what today
God.
feels like for me.
Really?
Yeah.
You sound like you in love.
I'll let y'all know when we talk about the streets.
When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall.
I'm over here playing LL Cool J songs and stuff. Outkast. I hope that you're the one.
Come on. I hope you're the one too. Man, I was watching this video. This dude, tell me if you agree with this. This dude said, never date a woman who has an ex, I guess a baby's father, and she says that he was a good man. So I guess his reasoning is, if he was a good man, then she was the problem. So I'm like, oh, he's saying like, never date a woman who says that her ex was a good man.
But I'm like, okay, so what's the counter to that? You want to date a woman who's constantly trashing the person she made a kid with?
I don't know, but he's saying, if the ex was so good, why you not with him? Why he get rid of you?
Because
He's
good is
such
the baseline for somebody who you meet, right? Like, you being a good person should be the baseline for us dating, at least, especially the baseline for us mating and having sex. So if
you would
good is the
hope.
baseline, right? Like,
So why? So
he was a good person. Maybe we weren't aligned. Maybe we don't have the same career goals. Maybe our ambitions are different. Maybe
well, then
our
why
values
did you
are
give him a
different.
child?
Some things you don't. Now, I can agree to that.
No, I think that's what he's saying. He said, never date a woman who states or who's stating that her ex, somebody she has a child with. I think he was making that distinction for sure. So he didn't just say an ex.
Because if it's just my ex, that's different.
he
but
said
if I
your
have a
ex,
child
you have
with
a
them, I
child
can
with
see
them.
that
He's
point.
like, never date a who says that her baby's father is a good man.
If you have a child with them, I could kind of see his point, but it's also like there are different reasons why you can have a child with somebody. They could have been married. And so I'm not going to just bash this person who I had a child with. Or you sometimes find out things later with someone. Now, I do believe in planning for your children, so I'm not going to, say.
Yeah.
But people who have kids and people who don't have kids are both doing the same thing.
What do you
Having
mean?
sex.
Well, yeah, but
So like, and I can go on a limb and say, like, everybody who doesn't have kids is not necessarily the assumption that they were more responsible. You assume that because they don't have kids, but you don't know if they're out here having unprotected sex because they're not pregnant yet. And so I'm saying if we're going to judge people with kids, then we do have to judge people without kids who are making the same moves.
no, but I do think, but my thing is, it doesn't matter if they're making the same moves. And what we want to attribute to my situation of not having children, the reality is I don't have children. So if I don't have children, you can say what you want to say and you'd be right, right? But we do have to acknowledge the fact that I don't have children.
That's fair.
Like
That's
that
fair.
that says something. So
I think that's
I understand that you might have just been gotten lucky all this time, but one thing we have to acknowledge is I don't have them. So I don't know. I guess I could see what he was saying. I think it just sounds so controversial, but I kind of see what he's saying, I guess. Like,
Only if he makes the point. To me, his point is only valid if he makes the point about don't have a kid with somebody who you're not willing to stay with. I get that. I actually would champion that. I think we're not being cerebral enough about who we're procreating with and what that situation is going to look like. So
Absolutely.
I 100% could champion that. But if he's just saying just any girl, period, like you should trash your ex because you're the problem, I think that's childish.
But what's funny is the trash on the X part is not, he never said anything about. He is just stating, he simply stated, never date a woman who touts the fact that her baby's father was a good man, or her ex-baby, whatever, somebody she has a baby with and obviously was in a relationship with. I mean,
But that's
and
why I need him to make more context. Okay, so would you date a woman who says that her baby daddy was trash? Or are you saying don't date a woman who's not with her
that's
baby
what he's
daddy?
saying. He's saying
like
that's what he said. Like, if she's saying, now I don't know if he's saying he would date that person either, but what he's saying, he's definitely saying don't date this woman because that's a sign that she was the problem. That's what he's saying. I don't know what he's saying about the other people.
Well, I guess because I need more context. Then it's like, because what are you instructing people to do then? Because at that point, then you
He's
should
saying
make the
that's a red
assumption
flag.
don't date a woman with a child. That's why I was like, I would need more
Well,
context
that's
before I agree or disagree with his
But not
sentiment
dating-
behind it.
Well, I don't know his sentiment. First of all, there were some other things listed in the video that were really controversial too. So I think obviously that's just the nature nature of the way he initiates some of these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was saying it, because, obviously you have the people who just automatically get offended. I was trying to sit and reason my way through it. Like, okay, what would be the reason a man would say that? Like, oh, don't date a woman who, don't date a stripper, or don't do this, whatever. Right? When we know, obviously, all of these things, in all of these things, you could find an exception. But if we're just blanketing some shit, if we want to blanket a few things, why would we say that? Like, yeah, why would they agree with that? I'm wondering. And so I was trying to look at it from the other side, like, okay, I guess I could see what he's saying. It's like, okay, if he was such a good man, what happened then? Like, and right, obviously I've been in situations where I'm like, and I guess I took it personally too, because I'm one of those people. I'm like, my ex-husband was a really good man.
But you were married to him. That's why I'm like, yo, it's so much deeper than
no,
you were married. I think your marriage.
But I
makes
was
that different.
married, but we're not together. So one can ask, okay, well, why not? That was a good man. Now, you're right. From our standpoint, I can sit here and explain to people like, hey, yeah, he is a good man, but X, Y, Z, this, that, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I get what, from his standpoint, he's saying is, oh, okay, so then you're the problem.
But see, to me, I'm like,
I mean, so I kind of was like, I was really trying to look at it like, okay, could there be some truth to this? And I found, yeah, kind of.
but I guess I'm a person who's like, I need a complete round argument for something, right? Like, I can't just look at one side without under the whole side, because, like, to me, it's more dysfunctional if I have a trail of relationships where I have to speak ill on someone than I have a trail of relationships where it was good. It didn't just work out. Like, that's the nature of dating or relationships. Now, that's why I said the child and the marriage thing does make it different, I guess, if you want to expand on those things and say, well, then why did you marry them? Or why did you have a child with them? But then those statements would be, don't get with a woman who's divorced, don't get with a woman who has a baby, to make it a round statement. But if you're just saying about don't be with someone who touts the fact that the person who they're no longer with, that they had a baby with, or just in any situation was a good person, it's like, I am proud that I don't have a trail of dysfunctional relationships.
Here's my thing.
Because I'm not damaged.
But here's my thing. What's funny is if I had somebody who rattled off a list of relationships and all of those relationships just were like, they keep saying, yeah, oh, he was really good. Like, there was nothing I could hear wrong about the person. It would be kind of a red flag. Be like, wow, like, so what happened with her? Oh, yeah, so I was with Elizabeth from 96 to 98. And, well, what was going on with her? Nothing. She was a beautiful person. We just, didn't see eye to eye. Oh, okay, gotcha. Beautiful person. Great woman. Okay. Then I was with, from 99 to 2002, I was with Sabrina. Well, what happened with her? Well, it was, she's a great girl. We just couldn't click on these things, but amazing woman. Oh, okay. And then from 2003 to 2006, I was with Katrina. Well, what happened with her? What happened? Who ended that? No, it was me. I mean, she was an amazing woman. I just really couldn't see why. I'm not gonna lie. If you tell me about how many amazing bitches we gonna get.
But it's just like, but you met me here, so you single and I'm single. Yeah. So then the case would be, what's wrong with you too? Especially if, like,
no, we can
some
look at,
people date
that's
like
not
around.
Denying that.
Yeah, because I'm saying some people date around the same age, so it's like most people aren't getting married. No, until like after college. So it's like I have a series of relationships that I have been in. So I'm like,
I could have come across you though, because maybe I just lost my. Wherever we met, that's not even. I don't know. We're not even talking about the other person. But I'm just
saying the judgment of just because my relationships, I don't have horrible things to say. For one, I'm like,
no, you don't.
A lot of times when someone asks me about my exes,
saying the horrible thing.
What I'm saying is that's the counter to that though. Like, so if you're saying you don't want me to say these people were all good, so then I'm like, what would you want me to say? They were all bad?
What I mean
or
is,
do you want me to have more information about why we didn't work out?
But it's not even all bad. We could have other relationships where it's like, hey, you know what? We tried to make it work. There was some infidelity, which you might call that bad. But I could even say, I guess when he's saying good, right? He's saying that, okay, obviously you didn't have any issues in that regard, like maybe infidelity. You didn't have. You're basically, that's what I take it to mean.
But
if
like
you're saying
the
this was
five major reasons why people break up is like differences in money, difference in religion, differences in kids, infidelity, or I forgot the fifth one. But it's like
if none of those are an issue,
but most of those aren't bad. You can have three of those things not in common, and you not say the person is a bad person.
Because we
can have a difference in religion.
Because
we can have a difference if we want kids.
Because he never defined what negative meant. He just said if she describes if she describes him as this was a good man on her, so that means we're going solely off of her criteria, because I'm not even picking. So what you just said there about like, well, you can still have 3 or 4 and still be, yeah, you can, but I don't. That part wasn't even identified as to what the criteria was for a good person.
Right, and so
he was
what
just
I'm saying
saying
is
if
he's
she
not
touted-
identifying enough. That's what I'm saying. He needs to be more expressive, or that's why I would say he needs to identify more,
But why
clarify
does
more.
he need to
because
identify it?
I'm
Because
like,
he's stating
because
she's
what I'm-
saying it.
Right, she's saying it. But if you want more
he's
from her,
proclaimed-
if you want it to be more descriptive, if you want her to say something else, I'm like, well, then what can she say to make this sound like success to you? If you don't want to be with a girl who touts that her baby daddy was a good man, what can she say that's opposite of saying he's a good man that makes it her successful for you?
My thing is that's fine, and we can talk about that because I feel like that's a separate conversation. But I actually do understand what he's saying. It may be very surfacey, especially the way the conversation comes off, because it's like, so that in itself, because I pride myself on, like, I have nothing ill to say of my son's father at all. And people always ask me, like, my son's father, who is also my ex-husband, and they always ask me, like, you guys get along? Like y'all get, like, yeah, we really get along. Like, he's my family at this point because we share a son.
That to me sounds more functional than a relationship.
It is
that's
functional, but there are also people who would say, like, and I have had people ask me, well, what happened there? And it's crazy because he listens to the podcast.
But to me, that part, right? But to me, that part, depending on how deep we are, but I'm the type of person too, when we're dating, I want to know about your past in a sense of like seeing patterns, but I don't really need to know everything about each one of your past, because like you're not the same person who you were in that relationship, and I'm not the same chick who you were with. So it's just like, I think to make these harsh judgment about maybe how somebody articulates their past, is like, what if she's like, maybe what really happened is none of your business, and I have discretion because I have respect for this person. Yeah, you know, like, so it's like, that's why I'm like, to make a blanket statement like that, I would ask, okay, so what can I say?
But my thing is, you don't even have to tell me that people are like, there's a way for you to talk about your past relationships without disrespecting a person or getting into the details of it. That's why, I mean, pretty much what I gathered from because it's a short where I got this little topic from, is the gentleman was stating, you know, never date a woman who blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you can say you've been with good men, like, you know what? Because I really do feel like that's been a lot of my situation.
And so I'm like, I don't be out here just being drugged.
I've been with good men.
Yeah, it just didn't work out for whatever reason.
But I can see, because I've had people ask me, oh, okay, you're not with your ex-husband. Why? Oh, okay. Oh, you're not with your ex-fiance. Why? Because obviously, right, there was something there. And then when I come and I tell them that they were good men, there is a question there. It's like, oh, so what? Why are you just breaking up? Hey, dude, streets be calling my name. There's a dude from the streets is calling for tonight. And he actually asked me a question. He said, why you not with nobody? And look, this is Cookie getting real personal. Y'all about to see that maybe I'm toxic.
But I guess whenever I get asked that by somebody who's also single, I'm like, why are you neither?
Yeah, well,
and that's what I'm saying.
Is he single though?
But the thing is, that is commonly said by people, two single people together, and they're like, oh, well, why are you still single? And it's like,
why are you still out here?
Single?
Why are you still out here?
And it's meant to, a lot of times it's meant to be a compliment, right? But it's not, because it's actually probably easier for a man to settle down than it is for a woman.
It is easier for a man to settle down.
So this is like, I'm asking you, if you're this great guy that I think so too, shouldn't I truly be asking you, since the odds are in your favor to be hitched? But why are you single?
No, but my thing is, it's different to me though when a man says that, because a man does the picking. So I feel sometimes when I've heard a man say that to me, I take it as, I know somebody choosing you. I know somebody then came and wanted to wrap this up.
What they're asking is, what's wrong with you?
So I don't look at them the same way when I feel like, well, why are you single? I already know he can pick and choose to be single or not. He's the one initiating typically, right? So so it is kind of like a thing of like, so what's going? Because what did he say? Dude said, breaking up. Why you breaking up? I was like, yeah, I broke up. Me and my ex-fiance, we broke up summer of 2021, and he's like, breaking up? Why you breaking up? What's going on? He wasn't. Was it? You assumed it was him.
But it's often. But that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying is, look, to me, that's a very toxic minded, for a person, to me, like that guy who's saying that to me is a very toxic minded frame about how things operate, period. Because it's like, if you're assuming that we're broke up because a man did something inappropriate, if you're assuming that I should not be with somebody because somebody dogged me out or did something inappropriate, it's like, we are meant to be in these spaces to interact. Like, I haven't been just drugged by guys, but there have been some guys like, okay, we were together, but maybe it wasn't the right time for him. Or maybe we were together, but, you know, it wasn't a good timing for me. Or we were together, but you weren't as ambitious as I am, or like I just broke up with somebody recently, great guy, but he's not ambitious. We have different values, and so that was never going to work out. And what we want monetarily was not going to work out, and we dated to be able to figure that out.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna let you hear the clip of what he said. Real quick, I should have played this first. Hold on.
Never date a single mom if she has an excellent baby father. Because good baby daddies who take care of their kids always have a place inside their baby mama's bedrooms. Just off.
Oh, that's different.
Oh, that's different. Hold on.
That's different.
Oh, most likely the one who ruined the relationship.
Oh, he said it at the end.
Will never be loyal to you. Never
See,
date
you
a
missed.
single
Okay,
mom.
stop.
But he's trying to make,
Stop.
but
Hold
all
on.
of that one statement makes
but
it
hold on.
different than the whole thing put together.
But hold on, listen.
Bedrooms. Just off the strength that he's a good man and the mother is most likely the one who ruined the relationship. Additionally, the kids will never be loyal to you. Never date a single mom if she has a waist trainer with.
Okay, that's enough.
But when he puts all those things together, I get what he's saying.
Well, when he said, because a good man will always have a place in her bedroom, which I don't believe that either, though. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. And then he said, and then at the end, he got to the part that I was focusing on where he's like, and just off of the strength of, if he was a good man, she's obviously the one who ruined the relationship.
But yeah,
that's
but
what he
when
said.
you string all those together, that's why I kept needing context. When you string those together, like because he started saying that he was excellent, and so he's still gonna have a place, and thus that means that she was likely the problem. I think he's stringing those all together. Like I think he's making that one big statement. Like if this guy's so great and he's all in his kid's life, you still have him around in these capacities. It was likely you that messed this up, and he's also saying he may or may not still have access to you.
Oh,
like,
okay.
So I think I'm like,
which is how I saw this. That's how I implied it.
So I'm like,
period.
yeah, I think he's making a round statement in that. Yeah, that makes sense. But just because I have a baby daddy that I think is good, no. That's what I was like. I think that's why I kept being like, I need more context because what do you want me to say about
But
him?
I even feel like with that short amount of information, we could still make the conversation, because if you do have a baby daddy who is good, that's why I guess I mean, what do you mean by good? Because when I say good, what I mean is good enough for me to have been with, that there is something I really can't give you the answer to as to why I didn't want to make that work.
But he expounded under though. He said excellent in his child's life. Like he expounded on what was just good. So not just like, oh, this is the good guy, but it's the good guy who I still allowed to be in this space excellently. I think that that's why I kept saying I needed more context because
what do you mean you allow?
Because
to
now
be
I
in
know
this space?
by hearing the rest of his sentences, I can tell his intent. His intent is to saying that this woman is going to be disconnected or dysfunctional, is what he's saying. Like, and everything he's saying in that message, he's trying to say she can't truly connect with you.
Yeah.
That's why he's bringing up the kid not connecting with you and all that. Or
That's
she's
true.
dysfunctional. So that's why I was like, I needed to hear more because it's just like, I'm a very kind of like black and white person when I try to look at something, and I live in the gray. But that's why I'm like, so what is the opposite of that? Like, if he's not good, then he's bad, or he's just okay, you know, like. But if I get what you're saying, he's saying if I'm telling you that my baby daddy excellent, he always show up, he's such a good daddy, and he was a great man, and he, you know, I still have him around, and da. It's just like, well, then why y'all not together?
He's in the child's life. That's exactly where I was coming from. Just because my idea, when I say good, that's what my good means.
Mm-hmm.
My good means that this was a good man. That I guess that's what I mean, because that's been my experience. That's why it made me think, and I think it just might have hit me a little bit more personally, just because I'm like, oh, what is that saying about me?
But I get that though, because I feel
agree.
like I very similar identify with that, with like being divorced. Like I feel like I need to. What it is like, you know how like I see this a lot in property management, like. Somebody really liked the apartment, they apply, but they already hit you with certain question in the beginning that, you know, they background check gonna come up with something on it.
Like,
well, what's y'all criteria?
I mean, how far back do y'all? Because it was 10
or they
years
start saying shit like this, like, I make a really good job, I make a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? And so then they feel like they have to overly explain something that I may or may not in my criteria.
Right.
I feel like sometimes when you meet a person, you really connected with them, and you say like, I got a child.
Yep.
Or you feel like you have to overly explain yourself. So then you say he's a good man, or like he's not a bad guy, but this, and this, which also creates more situation to explain, like, but we're not together because of this, and this, when it's like, really, it's kind of none of your damn business until it becomes your business, you know.
Period.
But I get it, because I always feel like when I have to explain to people divorce, I'm like, yeah, I'm divorced. It didn't work out. We was together for years though. We really did try. I tried to stay married to him for like this, you know. I feel like I overly need to explain it, because I'm like, I get that this probably looks bad, but it shouldn't, you know. Or I get that this probably creates pause.
Well, and my thing is like, I think we don't always like to acknowledge too that there are certain things that cause pause, and it's like, and they should actually. They should, because they're part of the story. Like for example, I'm divorced. I've been engaged. We broke up. And if you do want to get to know about a person, you learn a lot about them from kind of their history. Now, does that mean they can't be? Obviously, we know, like, we never know what this moment of now holds, but you do look at things. You're like, okay, it's something to make note of.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
it's something to make note of. Like, I think about how, sometimes I know I would watch the little movie and it'll be like, you know, the little white family and the son or like a girl, but she'll come, or the girl or the daughter will come from a good family and like a boy, but he comes from a broken family and the family is very judgmental about it. And I remember I used to always take them situations and be like, dang, they judgmental. This could be a good person. But I get it now. Here's the thing, people want to act like this is so judgmental, you know, people can change, yeah, fine, but statistics do show,
And we just can't discredit the fact that relationships and
Come
love
on.
are learned behavior.
they're learned behavior.
So then if you have certain patterns, it's like, this
Come
is something that
on.
either I'm going to have to trust that you unlearned, or you have to tell me some kind of traumatic event that shook that up.
and what's funny is, like, you'll see, like, the mom will be, so where did your parents go to school? It's just me and my mom. Oh, so where's your dad? I never knew him. Oh, okay. Did your mom go to
So
college?
now I automatically know
So
your
now
mama don't
I
know how to pick them.
Your mama don't know how to pick 'em.
You did not see
grew
a
up with
man
single
woman
mother.
relationship in the house.
You think I
Exactly.
want you to date my son? Like, to be honest, you might be a very sweet girl, but you start realizing
can't
things
know what you
later
don't
on.
know,
You
though.
can't. You don't know what you don't know. That's the thing.
And it's like, you don't know how to
don't
love my son
know.
because you didn't see your mom love your dad in that way.
Yes.
And you can learn it in other ways. Yes, people always want to make that argument, but there is nothing about firsthand seeing it every day.
And let me tell you,
It's facts. It's a statistic. We can argue it. You can feel a way about it, but it is.
But it is. And for the facts are the facts. And the thing is, the mother looked at her son, because you got to think, I didn't raise this is my baby. He came from me. And when he was a little boy, he was always bringing stray little things home to take care of. And now I look at this situation, I'm like, as a mother, I'm feeling like, here he go trying to save something again. Because this is
don't
not.
save her. She don't want to be saved.
So I'm like, yeah, you start realizing that those little things about you, while you can change them and everything, they do tell somebody something about you. Like, I have a child. I am divorced. I had a fiance after being divorced, and we broke up. So, yeah, I'm gonna just tell you, like, I don't know. Things ain't looking too good. If you want to be honest, somebody could take that and be like, okay, she's this many years old. She has a child. She was married, divorced. Okay, she was engaged, broke up. Okay, what the fuck? Without them not even knowing anything, those things say a lot.
And that's why I'm like,
They
you
say a
do have
lot.
to explain certain gaps in your resume.
Yes, you do.
know what I'm saying?
How
Like,
come from 96 to 2012 you didn't work?
Bruh, because the first thing my dad said after my divorce was like, this is my fault. I was like, how? He was like, because I made you so trusting and believe that this person was going to take care of you. And so you put all this trust in them taking care of you, and they left.
Yeah.
And so then now you're left to pick up pieces. Now, luckily, I am ambitious enough to where it wasn't that way. But my dad is like, so I'm going to invest in all your next businesses so they don't have to. So let me continue my part. He said, I thought that this person was going to come in and I was supposed to stop. But actually, as your dad, I was supposed to continue my part. So whether they stop or start, you always good. And I appreciate that, because it's like, there is something to be said about, you know, what you learn at home. And I did. I grew up in a home where my mom and them didn't make, you know, as much as my dad. My mom took positions very intentionally to be with or around us as her kids. So I just jumped all in and got intentional with.
Let me tell you something. Even me, okay, growing up with my family, my mom and dad were together my whole life. I don't know a house without a man in it.
Yeah.
If you don't think that makes a difference with how you end up creating your relationships down the road, it fucking makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference. And the thing is, if all you know is two people being together, regardless of whatever, if all you've seen from your two people, a man, your father and mother, is a commitment, no matter what they went through, that's like life. That's like designing your life. Like, you now see commitment this way.
Yes.
Do you know other people don't have that?
Yes.
They don't even have that. So to them, divorce is normal. Two people don't work out. You know, they have this as an option. If you grew up seeing a commitment like that, that shapes everything. My ex-husband, my son's father, his parents were still married. All his siblings are married. Like, that's what he knows. So like I think about his perspective versus mine coming from like seeing different things. My parents were together until I left the house though, but then they ended up divorcing, and they kind of had a tumultuous relationship. So that was crazy. So that shapes things too, like what you see. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that. That's a huge value. Knowing that somebody came from that means that this was the blueprint for how they feel relationships work.
Yes, I agree. Like,
it's
even in the same
blueprint.
home, me and my brother grew up in same parents, different homes. I grew up with my parents together almost the whole time I was at home. Before I almost went to college. Whereas my brother grew up with my dad more so as a single man, more of his lifetime than he wasn't, or than my dad in kind of different relationships. So my brother's idea is like, when you hear my brother talk, he'll even say, I just got to be there for my kids. I'm going to stay with her for my kids. And essentially, that's what my dad was doing, was a lot of times he stayed in these interactions with my mom to be together. So I'm sure my brother heard that rhetoric where I didn't see that. I grew up as my dad is my dad, is my mom. And making home videos, you know, all kind of shit at Disney World. And that kind of stuff. So it's like I grew up seeing my parents together and in love and thinking that you were just supposed to stick by somebody through a lot of stuff, you know. So no matter what it was, infidelity or whatever.
And that is interesting.
So me and my brother have very different. Like my brother has a child, 2 kids, same girl, will be with her forever. I don't know, because he will be with her as long as they have kids. But I don't know if he feels like the need to marry her. Where I'm like, I don't want to have a family.
You're not going to start a family without
married.
that because you don't have the visual of it being that way.
I have it of like, this is my dad. You're supposed to be married. You're supposed to know each other. You're supposed to know each other's families.
Oh my God.
So like if you date someone like me, I get in with your family because my mom is still in with my. We're gonna go pick her up in a couple months just to go take her on a trip. My mom is still in with my dad's mom like that because I grew up when it's like when you get me. You get all of me, and I'm in all of you. You know.
Yeah.
So it is. It's learned behavior.
It makes a huge difference, and it's like. So to act like these things don't mean something, I mean, they do mean something. So it's like, oh, okay, her baby daddy was a good man. Okay. All right. And he going to be around. He a good man. So I can, like you said, more information is given now. He's a good man. We both share these children. So he going to be coming around.
Yeah. Because he's a good dad.
And maybe he's fine. And if he's fine too, I mean, I don't know.
I would be worried.
It'd be worried. Let's say he coming around picking up his kids, and so y'all share these kids.
Would you feel the opposite if the situation was flipped and it was a woman, like a good baby mama? He said she was a good woman. Yeah.
Well, that's different for men though, because men get lots of good women and mess that up because they just be dipping around. Like it's like, so for a woman to say it, it's kind of like, hey, he was a good man, and it's like, oh, what you doing? Because
you didn't hold
our behavior is a little bit different, right? They get that. You might hear a man say that my baby mom was a good woman, but I wasn't ready.
My dad talks to my mom like that. Or you know my dad says that I appreciate. Sometimes he says, "Yo, your mom is an excellent mom, but she wasn't necessarily a great wife."
Yeah,
and
honest.
You know, and that's honest. And I appreciate him more so being honest like that because me and him actually went through a lot of struggles when it first happened because I was like, how could you, leave our family? I felt like a lot of abandonment because they didn't ever really seem to argue. So I was like, yo, everything was fine, you know?
From what you thought.
And just hearing it from him, I heard that she wasn't a good wife to him.
Right.
My dad needs someone who's going to be like very submissive and, just different from my mom. And they met very young. So my mom wasn't a good wife for him, but she's a good wife for someone else, and vice versa. And that's the thing about like, that's why I got so touchy about like, well, if she's a good person, it's like, 'cause what you want me to do, trash them? But I get it. It's like, if they were so good, you do have to explain more. Well, they were so good. What's going on? Especially with a child. It's like, if they're so good, how do I know you're not going to dip back? And that's what the real question is how I know you're not going to dip back.
And what he just said was, even though he worded it differently, what you said your dad said is, she was a good mother. But I didn't ask you about her being a good mother. We want to know why you're not with her. So then you would have to, you wouldn't call this a good, as far as you're concerned, this wasn't a good wife then. That's why I say, when I say a good man, I'm not just using that shit willy-nilly. Like, I mean, when I call a man a good man, that means, yeah, I could have been with that man. I should have been with that man almost if I thought differently. I don't believe that part, right? But I could have. For all intents and purposes, this man is such a good man, like, yeah, I could have been there. And I was there. That's why I was there. So because he was a good man. So there is sometimes when you're like, okay, so then what are you looking for? What's going on?
But I guess what I'm wondering is, you talk about this all the time. We should make good and decency the baseline. And so because when we really start doing that, I think we'll really start connecting with people who are not only just good, but aligned.
Yeah, it should
not
be.
only just
it's
good,
baseline
but like in the same motion,
It's baseline for what we want to experience, but you don't always run into that. So that's why. So here's the thing. I can't help how these men who are going to be necessarily. Sometimes men come and you're like, oh no, They come, no. So when you do get one and you're like, oh, he was good, meaning as far as I'm concerned, he was hitting the criteria that if I had to put on paper as to what a good man looks like, if you try to describe him, he was checking boxes. So you do have to ask, like, okay, if all that was there, what was it? Did you just not?
But
did you
I guess
not
that's
like
where,
him? Was you
to
not
me, that's the
attracted?
interesting thing about that girl whose poem I was listening to, because the real thing about that is boundaries, right? Like, so I'm supposed to have certain boundaries up where, like, you're a good person, but maybe, like, I don't have a baby, or in my case, I don't get married to you before I know enough. I have enough boundaries to where things that would knock you out from that ranking that end up making us get divorced stop. So that's what I'm really, as I'm learning more and more this year, like I said, my word for this year is no. I'm learning that boundaries are supposed to put certain things in place to where if good is the baseline, it still won't get so close to me that, like, that's like your minimum criteria for a job. Like, has to have a master's, has to have a this. That makes your baseline set a certain way, but they still all don't get through to you. And I'm learning that's what boundaries, I guess, are supposed to look like.
They don't all. How many do there be?
I meant candidates in a job. I'm saying you have a certain job description.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And people meet.
Well,
so that's
certain
what I'm saying.
ones make it.
But good could be the baseline, and then there's certain boundaries you have in place where this is a good guy, but maybe if he's not connected to his family, then I'm not going to really go past the first date.
But
or if he's not this.
But if you're trying to quantify it, right? Like if for a job, right? It's like, here's my resume, here's my experience, and it's like, I have this much experience. Maybe it's between me and another guy, but during the interview, he killed the interview. I didn't. I don't know. Whatever, right? But the thing is, like, yeah, they're both good per se, but it's still like we don't know what that thing is, I guess, until we see it. Because I've been with good men, and they were good. But it was just something, I can't even tell you. That's how you know it's irrational. I can't even necessarily tell you what it is or why I couldn't.
But to me, that's okay. That's dating. Like, that's supposed to be like that. It shouldn't be, but you shouldn't make anything work. And just because you could be a good person and us not be for each other. That's why I'm like, the baseline should be good. That's why I think that his statement only,
the baseline should be good.
His statement only applies to if you're talking about having kids. Because outside of any other statement, you would rather me be that way. Because at least when I meet you, I am very much so able to identify what I want.
Yeah.
Because I'm not just clenching on you because you're just not a bad person and you don't cheat on me.
Yeah.
I actually can articulate, well, no, I want somebody who wants to invest in real estate. I want somebody who wants kids.
Yeah.
I want somebody
You have
who's
to be
ambitious.
specific.
I want somebody who's okay with knowing that
specific.
when I have a baby, I'm going to stay home for the first 2 years. I want somebody who wants 5 kids. Like, you are very specific.
But that's criteria. But even that's quantifiable, though. It's like, right? Like, if you had somebody who's hitting on all this stuff that you set up the criteria for what a good man would be, and he's checking all the boxes, then you do have to wonder, okay, so what was it then that didn't?
But like
sometimes
a 90 and a 100 are both A's, right? But one of them missed more points.
Some of them got some stuff wrong.
So that's what I'm saying. But some of them miss more points. So you should be able to articulate why a person you're not with, you weren't with them. Yeah, I agree with that. But that doesn't mean that you should make them a C. It's like, you were a 90 because he
was up there.
You weren't ambitious.
They were up there.
You weren't this. Maybe we didn't have the connection. We didn't have the sexual energy. You didn't make me feel good with you, which is also one of them. So like, just because you're not a C or a B doesn't mean you still can't be a 90. But just you missed 10 points on the scale. And I'm like, it should be not necessarily quantifiable, but it should be able to articulate why we're not working out.
What I feel though is like, I think from it made me realize that my criteria was a little bit more steep than maybe I once thought. It made
and
me,
that's great.
Yeah,
that's great that you're figuring that out.
I had to figure that out because I couldn't understand, because I'm like, well, for all intents and purposes, how come this is not doing it for me? And it's like, oh, it turns out this really is something that needs to be present.
You know what, this is interesting though, and then I'm gonna let us move on. But to me, this is a little bit to me of the Hobbes and Locke argument, where it's like, I feel like majority of the people aren't shitty, and then there's some shitty people. I feel like majority of the apples aren't bad, and there's some bad apples. So with that statement, and I view the world that way. So I'm going to meet a lot of people who are good people, a lot of people who want to go. But even think about it like this. I'm an ambitious person, very highly ambitious person, and I'm a business owner. That only makes up 20% of the population. So I'm going to meet 80% of other people who can be good people, but may not align with those values that I have with being a business owner and ambitious. Same for you. So it's just like, that's why I'm like, good is the baseline, but it's going to sometimes shape out to where we don't work out, but I need to be able to articulate that to you and you to me without us doing damage to each other beforehand. Yeah. That's actually what a healthy relationship is.
Yeah. And I think like like I was saying, is like it forced me to get clearer. It's like, oh, okay, this thing here is something that needs to be present. I just don't always know. Oh, this is gonna sound so whatever. I just don't always know what it is. I just know when I feel it. I'm like, oh,
But that's, to me, it's something too. That thing, that thing, that thing.
yes.
Like that, it's something like, chemistry is something. And no, we have a word for it now. We call it swag. We call it chemistry. We call it je ne sais quoi.
Vibes.
We call
Vibe.
it
She was a
pheromones.
vibe, for
we
real.
call it all these words, but what we're
Yeah.
describing is, there is something to be said about somebody who just lights your vagina on fire.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
In a
you see
good
them
way.
and just,
In a good way.
Yeah. Oh
Not
no,
that-
no burning. No, that's a bad.
She said, light that vagina on fire.
Right, like
in
that's
a good way.
If somebody making you burning,
I'ma
that's a
make it
bad
on my
candidate.
fire.
But there's just something to be said about somebody who just kind of lights you
I
on
know,
fire.
I
You know, like,
that's what I'm saying.
and you do that
But-
but we do that with people too. Like, we talk about even Precious and them. We're saying that about our, us. They're like, oh, they just feed off of each other. They just have
They do.
certain people just make you feel like,
They
all right,
do.
let's go.
The relationship is different.
and that's okay.
Right, the
We're
relationship is
supposed
different.
to. And so, like, and I think people get so mad because sometimes when they're not giving that to you, they want to figure out if it's something they could do.
yeah.
And it's really
like it's just got to be there.
And I think that's that transcendentalism that we're working about when we're meditating. Is like
just gotta
owning
be
that, like,
there.
this may not be mine.
Yeah.
And even though I don't understand why, I'm not doing it. And I got to own it. That don't take nothing from me. And that's a very big person to have to do that. Because me and you don't vibe doesn't mean it's nothing from me.
Yeah.
It may just be a misalignment of energy.
It is. Or the thing is this, it's like, and it's okay. You have to try different things to figure out who you vibe with. And so that's why really, when you think about it, it's like, if you was, let's say, because it can work both ways, right? You can have somebody who's really feeling you and you just not feeling them. It just ain't there. Or you can be really feeling somebody and they not feeling you. And either way, it's like you make peace with it because it's like, okay, well, this is not it. That's all right. Because I know what it will feel like
Yeah.
to be it then based off because
Yeah.
this is missing something. You know what I'm saying? So it makes you more aware and more sensitive to that thing when it really comes.
That's why I truly
Yes.
do feel like if you've been in love before truly,
Yeah.
then there is no unrequited love after that. Because you know what it feels like to be loved and be loved back.
Yes.
So you can like somebody and be into them, but you can't love someone. If you have truly been in love before
Yeah.
and they loved you back, I don't know that you can ever love someone again after that who doesn't love you back.
Oh.
Unless
Come on.
I have to have a big, because I married a narcissist. So unless they have very much so ulterior motives where they are acting in a way to make you still, and I still feel at some point it feels disingenuous because I can even say that about my ex-husband. Like at some point they used to feel like it felt fake. And so I can't even lie. I went through his phone and tried, and I don't even really be out there like that, but to try to find something to justify this feeling that I was feeling of misconnection, and it was him being disingenuous, but I couldn't grasp it, but I felt something. So even then I still feel like it feels different.
It does.
It kind of feels like drinking an emergency versus drinking orange juice. And they both give you vitamin C, but one of them feels like this is force.
And what's funny about it is, right, is because, and Abraham Hicks talks about this too, like you're always doing it. You never get it done. And you're constant, like this process that we're doing is constant. So meaning me and his situation could have been the height for where I was at that time.
Yeah.
But now that I have been exposed to him or this situation, it now has created desires within me of something even higher.
Yeah.
And I only know that because I got here with him and it was missing something. And so, but being up here forced me to ask for something now that's up here.
Yeah.
And so now I feel something that's like, this ain't really settling with me because it ain't working now. And it's okay. I really do feel like that's the process that we go through. It's life.
Yeah.
It's like I'm constantly getting into spaces and conquering one level, but then there's another level I have to conquer.
You deserve to be in every space you in.
Come on. All my life I had to fight. No more, you ain't got to fight, baby. You deserve to be in
Baby,
any
you
room
deserve
you
it.
walk in. You belong there. Okay, so hold on, y'all. Kimmy gonna have to tell y'all a story. But first of all, tell me about Earth.
Earth is ghetto. I wanna leave. Can you beam me up? I'm out on the street.
No, but Earth is ghetto because it's steady sending these cylindrical balloons to us. And
flying saucers, the UFO
well,
situation.
so first we shot down a China balloon, and I'm gonna sound like our president.
Well, they thought it was, but the China balloon. But what's happening behind that? They thought they didn't know what it was. They shot it down, and it was
they
China's.
said that they had seen those before.
It was a
like-
Chinese satellite,
It
right?
was a Chinese satellite. They said they had seen those before, but for some reason we didn't shoot those down. And so Biden decided to shoot this one down and praise it that he shot down a China balloon. Well, now we've shot down like 3 other objects. I guess we assume that they also were China balloons.
And they're not.
But they're not. And they haven't really explained what they were, except
Yeah.
the fact that they're not extraterrestrial, which is real. Like, so you're
and
telling me
not
they're
a threat.
And not a
Not what he
threat.
said?
But it's like, well, those both are loaded statements because, now it's not currently a threat. It's shot down.
And I think we said we heard they're big as like a small car. My
Yeah.
thing is, why? That's a pretty big monitoring device. So I'm wondering, you can't tell me. They say they didn't find nothing in them, right? Somebody
they didn't
was
say
in
that.
that thing.
They didn't say they
They're
didn't find
not
out what in them.
saying what.
They
They're just
said,
not
No,
saying.
they said it wasn't extraterrestrial and it wasn't harmful. They didn't say they didn't find anything. And that's what's interesting too. They
See,
used
the
very
way
choice words.
Yes.
And so it's just like,
Because so then what is it then?
well, they they have changed the word extraterrestrial anyways. Just like UFO is now not UFO anymore. They've changed the term for it in
Is what?
I can't remember it. I gotta look
But
it up.
UFO
They
just
changed-
means unidentified objects. So
yeah, but they've changed it now.
we-
So instead of saying they've started calling them like space. They have strategically when they talk
That's
about them and they
interesting.
changed what UFO is called, and that's I'm like extraterrestrials. Like when we were thinking about like ET,
And that's why we need to get
They
concerned.
have changed the name of that too. I bet.
But that's why we need to be concerned when they start trying to control speech and because they understand how language works, and that's why they're very, very picky about the words they use because they know how important. Because I think that's funny. So you don't so extraterrestrial. So now because that puts me in the state of an alien of some sort, a Martian.
So they're not calling it UFO anymore. They're calling it UAP, and it's unidentified. Hold on, I'll tell you what UAP stands for. But it's not a UFO anymore. It's UAP, and it stands
UAP.
for
That's funny.
unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, because it's just like unidentified
Phenomenon.
foreign object makes it sound like it's from space. It's from. I think that
Flying
that
object.
unidentified flying object or whatever just makes it feels like it's somebody controlling it.
is.
With this phenomenon means like, oh, it could be anything. It
It could be anything.
You know,
and we don't
like-
want to tell and we're tired of that keeps
Yeah.
popping up when you hear UFO.
Yeah, because every time I hear UFO, I think about the X-File.
That's
Like,
such a
doo,
mess.
doo,
Yeah,
doo,
yeah.
doo,
Scully
doo,
and Mulder.
doo.
Absolutely. Because we
That
know
shit was
something.
really scary, actually.
Because
though.
something is going on out there.
We ain't been talking about it for this long, and we just been all wrong.
Everybody, and you're not. And
First of all, Trump is an alien.
and here's my thing, and I'm going wherever planet he gonna be on. So fuck. Oh yeah, I'm a Trump supporter. Anyways,
Don't nobody turn that.
first
red
of
who's
all,
not an
I
alien.
didn't. I was just telling Kimmy this. Y'all know that cloud in Nope. So in my place, I'm not even playing with y'all. It was a clear sky. I
Call
live
me
in Denver,
screaming.
Colorado. Listen,
Call
it
me
was a clear
screaming.
blue sky. I said,
It was a clear white
this
night, clear dark moon.
Warren, she was in trying to consume.
I'm listening.
Listen, so I'm looking outside. The sky is so clear. There is a cloud there, and I'm on the phone talking. I'm like, yeah, girl, huh? And I'm like, I see the cloud there.
We had
and
just saw no.
I see
So
the
also Cookie could have been a little scary.
No, that's why I was so sensitive to it because I had just seen it on Nope. So now I knew what I was witnessing, and no more can you fool me about this just being a cloud.
Talk about friend. I
Listen,
just saw the cloud
But
from
let
no.
me tell you why I say it was that cloud because it was floating there by itself. And it was a perfect cloud. You
As
know,
clouds
how
do.
the hell you be that perfect of a cumulus nimbus? You was a teacher. What they call them?
That's a cumulus crowd.
Anyways,
Cirrus
it was
clouds
a
are higher.
perfect cumulus. Not a cumulonimbus. Yeah, I studied. Anyways,
Okay.
listen.
Curious crowd.
The thing was in one part, and then literally it was like, in another part. I'm not even playing.
So it moved.
It moved. Why
As
else would
clouds
I just
do.
thought it was if it would have sat there, I would have thought it was a regular cloud, even though it was by itself in this clear blue sky. But it moved.
So clouds don't move.
Well, it moved. That's why
I
I'm
think
telling
they
you
do
it
that.
wasn't a real cloud. No, not the way this cloud moved. It moved. It didn't move like clouds move
But
like
you know
oh,
they say.
clouds
But I
move
mean,
like
I would make a joke of all places. Why would it be in Denver? But with all the Denver
I
alien
agree.
jokes, it should actually be in
First
Denver.
of all, have you
I
been
would've-
to DIA?
That's what I'm saying. Of all
What-
with with
don't
Lucifer
you
and
know
everything.
the conspiracies? But this cloud was out there by itself, and I said, now that's really weird.
Yeah.
No, I'm not lying. I mean, y'all not gonna believe me, and y'all gonna think we smoke a lot of weed out here. That's not what
I
it
don't
is.
smoke at all.
That was an extraterrestrial UAP cumulonimbus
Unidentified.
cloud.
anonymous phenomenon.
There
was an unidentified
I'm telling
phenomenon.
you.
Were other people outside?
I was in my place looking from my windows. I don't know what you're talking about right now, but you seem a little bit skeptical.
I just got questions.
And a bit more skeptical than I'd like when I need support. I'm not playing. I told my sister Rihanna too. I'm like, this cloud. I was like, yo, these people ain't gonna never. It reminds me. I gotta tell you the story. So I used to do private duty nursing. For the elderly.
That I used to do. I thought was going to start a different way. Like what?
I used to do private duty nursing. Listen, guys, I used to take care of this guy. He was a retired dentist. And I will never forget. I'm in his kitchen making him a sandwich. He's sitting at the table. The table's in the kitchen. All of a sudden, we hear a woman singing. It's like she's standing in the kitchen with us, and she's like, like that. It's like it's clear as day. I look at him. Now he got dementia and Alzheimer's,
and he been on that Novocaine. Baby.
Because he didn't leave that man alone. So I look at him. He look at me after we hear this lady sing, and I said, "Did you hear that?" He said, "Yeah, did you hear that?" And I said, because, he got Alzheimer's and dementia. So I'm like, "What did you hear?" He said, "It was a woman singing about 3-4 notes." And I said, "Oh, Lord." He said, "I wouldn't tell nobody about that if I were you, or they're going to think you crazy like they think I am." I swear he said that.
So that means he hears that more than once.
So I called my daddy. I said, "Dad," or I think my dad called me or whatever. And I'm like, he's like, "Hey, what you know?" I'm like, at work. I said, "Listen, there's a situation."
Listen, there's a situation.
So I'm at work, and I tell him, and I said, "I think
so like no TV was on,
no TV, no radio. He real old man, like don't even listen to nothing. Read the old ass newspaper.
Anyone close by?
No, and he
houses?
lived alone, and they're in the kitchen. I know what you're saying. Like there's nothing. Like you would have thought the way her voice was, she was standing in there with us. You just didn't see nobody. So we looked at each other like, and I'm freaking out. And it's daytime, mind you, and that's when you're not supposed to be scared. My dad called. He like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "Listen, I'm at work, but there's a situation I just got wind of. I need to share with you." So pretty much this is what happened. I think it's the ghost in this mom. Like, she's singing and he said, "So what you?" I said, "I'm about to leave." He said, "You gonna leave that man?" I said, "Yes, I can't. The supernatural, I can't. I don't care what they do."
And they've obviously been in here with him before.
And they can take my nursing license. I don't care.
Well, I'm saying the ghosts have been here. He was cool with it. He wasn't as shocked as you were.
Yeah, and this is what my dad gonna say. "Well, if she's singing, I guess she happy." I don't care.
That's true.
Yo, I was freaking out.
It might have been his wife.
Nah, he would have said, "Yes, my Julia." You know what I'm saying? He would have said something like that. He was just like a woman singing about 3-4 notes. That's what he said.
Speaking about singing, though, because we can't go out this whole podcast without addressing the halftime show. I was so lit and turned up.
In the light.
Bitch, better have my money.
Man, and
pay me what you
oh
owe me.
man. Listen, why did everybody just think Rihanna was just a fatty?
Oh, friend.
Before they was like, okay,
Friend.
she's pregnant. Because why is she just poking that belly out like?
So we were together. Kim and Cookie were together. And
We was.
Cookie definitely thought she was fat. And I'm like, she just had a baby.
No, let me tell you. I was talking. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I was
Whispering
talking some
mad
junk
shit.
because I was like, look, I said, look.
Beyonce would have got ready.
I got
That's what she
deep
said
in
to
her
me.
ear, in Kimmy's ear, and I said, Beyonce would never. She was like, first of all, she just had a baby 2 months ago. I'm like, Beyonce would have made it work. Because let me tell you something. Because when I saw that, now I was glad to hear she's pregnant because I was just like, now that's a bit much. Now you can
It was
be
really firm.
You can be gaining weight, and that's fine. We were like, oh, you thick. But the way it was poking out, I said, oh, really, Rihanna? You just gonna poke?
So
you?
we missed the diss in the beginning. Because
rubbing-
all them
yeah,
folks,
I just
that's
saw
why I
her
don't like
belly out.
watching
I just
concerts
saw
with
it
other
out.
people because other than like you, but in a group of people because I was so upset because everybody else was there for the football game. Clearly we came for Rihanna. We came about 2 minutes before for halftime. So people talking and they trying to figure out the sound and shit. And I'm like, why the whole game has been on y'all just now trying to figure out the sound?
Exactly.
Like, what is going on?
And did you see the 2 white girls who like constantly kept knocking the TV over the
I'm
monitor?
like, listen, that's what I'm like, I should
they
have watched this at home.
drunk. They too drunk.
I came here for Rihanna. This is the Rihanna concert, baby, that happens to have some people playing football around it.
Yeah.
So what's up?
She was in there in that red.
She killed it though to me, but I mean, your president said it was pretty much the worst.
Well, my president.
He was low-key hating. You know that's a hate.
Well, I told you why Trump mad though. Trump mad because he invited Rihanna to perform and she turned him down because she said, "I'm going.
Where's
That's
that
All-Star Weekend, and I can't perform." And I think
And
I want to
feel
say,
her on that. You know what I mean? Niggas be on All-Star
I think,
Weekend.
but I want to say he was like offering like an obscene amount of money, like. it was just like seeing. I think, and it was just like a slap in the face. And you know how people with money are. If I got money and it turns out I couldn't sway you
that
with
means he
that
really
money,
like Riri.
that means he wanted her to perform.
He's
at
a
that
big
thing.
Rihanna fan.
Oh yeah, he wanted her to perform at this event, whatever it was, and she was like, no. And I think because he found out everything,
It's right there.
he found out why she didn't want to perform too. So it was just kind of like this.
That's how I know Trump ain't never been an All-Star Weekend because
No, he don't give a fuck.
I would have missed it too.
But yeah, he might have. I mean, niggas
it's
used
the
to
black
fuck with Trump.
events that happened.
But yeah, she
during-
was like, nah, I'm going to All-Star. I'm going to All-Star.
But I think she did
Did
the
you see
most
ASAP
dancing.
too? ASAP.
I love that he
They're
was like
supporting.
supporters, and
And
I guess
they're
they're
married
married
now, right?
Yeah.
I hope that's right. We got to address correct. I think we said last time that Beyonce had one album of the year for a Grammy. She didn't. What did she win it for?
She won. I can't remember what she won, but I just know R&B album of the year is Robert Glasper. Love him.
She won it for. I don't even know what
she run
won.
electronic. She run electronic.
Best electronic album?
of the year, which is different.
Which is really cool for her. But yeah, no.
Which is really cool for her. You know how when your friend don't want to tell you something that's ugly?
I ain't say nothing.
You know, you wear something ugly, be like, how does it look? She be like, it looks like you.
No, I just thought about because I know
That
I
was
said
100% one of
I
those
gave
moments.
I gave false information last week. I think all I looked at, I think I saw where she was nominated, and I think I said last podcast that she won for album of the year, and so I was like, oh, I need to correct that because she didn't win for album of the year. Who did?
Robert Glasper.
Okay.
Ran R&B. I'm like, I love him.
So-
And you know how many people were like, who? And I'm like, yo, y'all can't be out here talking about Black history. Y'all don't know Robert Glasper.
I don't know Robert Glasper.
Oh my gosh, you
is he?
know him, but you don't know him.
I don't know
you,
that
You
I
probably
know.
heard a Robert Glasper
I
song.
don't know that.
Robert
I know
Glasper, he's kind of like how people Ninth Wonder. Like if you knew Ninth Wonder, you know him. But if you don't know Ninth Wonder and I play something, you have heard it, and you're like, oh. And then you love Ninth Wonder after that. That's how Robert Glasper is. But you got to kind of be into him if you.
Yeah.
To me, he represents what I like R&B to be. Sometimes R&B to me can be so vocal heavy.
Mm.
And then
You
you
just
either have
want more
R&B or
music.
jazz, and he's not that. He is a instrumental R&B artist, and so like, so I like him for that. I'll play something in a little bit, but like Robert Glasper is pretty dope,
Yeah.
and like he opened up for Erykah Badu when she came out here for my birthday.
Oh.
And I've been on him for a while, but like people who are into like neo soul and jazz probably know him more.
Okay. Yeah.
But he's dope, and the brother puts out some very. He on that same way as like Black Thought. Like he just puts out some just very dope shit. You
That's
know,
cool.
so I'm a fan. But
Well, that's good for congrats to him.
but
and
so
congrats
do you?
to
How do you
Beyonce
feel about
for
the
electronic-
Rihanna?
for
We
the
ain't on Beyonce
electronic
right now. She
album.
was still 2 weeks ago. How do you feel about
Oh.
the Rihanna performance?
Well, my thing is, so this is how I felt. I know people, there was just so much talk about when Stephen A made that funny comment, like, she ain't no Beyonce. That is true. Like, I never look at Rihanna performances to see this, whatever. It's really just to see this major extravagant performance because I don't know her to like, you know, be doing all the crazy dance moves. But what she does do, she does well. But I get what they mean. I guess when we think of like an entertainer, I guess that's why Stephen A probably made that comment too. Like, Rihanna's no Beyonce. Yeah, she's not. She's a different kind of an entertainer. But I just think it was just regular. But I'm just not the person to
But
ask.
my
'Cause I
thing
didn't
is,
care
like,
about
she's
Beyonce's
entertaining.
performance either. Like, when I saw her performance with
It was.
I didn't care about that either.
She intentionally made it like very like black heavy, you know, like.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like first of all, the fact that Rihanna don't got no new music, and everybody was still vibing out. We were in a majority white places. Like
That's how she
yo,
got in.
Rihanna don't just be having hits; she be having bangers.
She has hit. Well, you
Like,
can't deny
bangers.
that, but
And
I
so,
mean,
like, so
performance-wise, like, you can't deny her hits.
But to me,
though.
so for one, her performing her hits and bangers are entertaining in themselves, and also
that is.
she had a lot going on. She had like a floating. She's pregnant on a floating stage.
Uh-huh.
She had like she did some shameless Fenty plugs. The dancers were killing it. Like it's like if you truly like. I'm also like be the best for you. If you truly know Rihanna, she don't got more than a little 2-step anyway.
And a little windy,
You know,
windy
like
top.
she never just been
Wind
no
it up.
dancer, hidden splits like
No.
Beyonce anyway. So to me, she did really well for who they hired for. And let's be clear, the Super Bowl did not have the money that they normally have because like that's why we also didn't see the Budweiser commercial. They had less money this year in ad dollars than ever before. But also like, so they paid top dollar for Rihanna with having less money, and I think she still showed up and performed.
No, she did, but but still, what's said is said. Like she's not the greatest performer, but Rihanna.
But who was better? You too? At the you know what I'm saying?
I didn't say they were great either. That has
know,
nothing to do with it. But I don't think she's really ever been a great performer. She's not even that great of a singer.
She's not a great dancer.
I can sing Rihanna songs.
She's not a great dancer, but I've been to almost every Rihanna concert that's been in Atlanta. The concerts are fly. That's how you know her music is so transcendental that you hear it, and she creates a vibe. Wherever she is, it's a vibe.
No, but this is not. I feel this is not even an argument about like justifying Rihanna's existence. She's a star.
No. I'm saying her concerts are a vibe. Like performing live is a vibe,
and that's cool. She's a star, but I don't feel she's the greatest performer. I think if we're talking about, I guess this is coming up in comparison because of the comments that he made. So I'm thinking about in comparison. If you want to just talk about Rihanna for Rihanna, yeah, she's fine. But I think there was just more of a focus on it. I think because of the comments he made, and then all this other stuff. But she does. If I ever hear there's a Rihanna performance, like when I've seen her performances like online and stuff, it's like, yeah, she does what I thought she would do. She ain't doing it.
Yeah, well, I guess so. To me, I'm like, well, to me, I think about it like this, right? Like when I think about great performers, right? Well, I think about the fact that, like, even contrarily, Jay-Z versus the Kanye West in concert. Yeah. Kanye West is going to be theatrical.
Absolutely.
He's going to move around.
Not
He's going,
right.
And Jay-Z's not. But that doesn't mean that I don't thoroughly feel going to both concerts. I'll say it like this. I recently went to a Post Malone and Kendrick Lamar concert. And though Kendrick Lamar did some amazing performances, like Kendrick always puts on a great concert, I was shocked by Post Malone with his like crowd engagement and just the energy he created. So I think that when you talk about performing has more to do than just one thing. I think that's the same thing, those arguments that happen with like the Billboard right now on their top, their top hip hop artists, their top rappers right now, and everybody's so controversial, but it's like, look at what they're staking them on. They're not just saying dancing, they're not just saying music, they're not just saying lyrics. And I think when I think about performer, a huge element of performing or concerts to me or performance is the vibe creation.
Yes.
And but I think that though Rihanna was always going to lack in the dancing, and so that's going to always be entertaining, her music and her stages sometimes and her vibe, because I've seen her levitate above you one time when I was in Atlanta. She was walking a stage above us, so she's not going to necessarily dance like Beyonce, but I don't see Beyonce having stages where she's walking above me either. So I think she's an overall performer.
My thing is,
I need you to do that if you can't dance.
I don't need you to walk above me.
I think you need to do that if you can't dance.
You can say, like, Mariah Carey can't dance. We know that Mariah Carey cannot dance at all, but Mariah Carey can sing, and the dance moves they would give her were real simple, stupid, because she can't put on no show like that. Right. So people are good.
I think it's her breast too big.
People are good for what they're good for. What I'm going to say is this. Rihanna is Rihanna. Like, when you go see Rihanna, you want to see Rihanna because she's Rihanna. When you go see Beyonce, I want to see Beyonce, and I'm there just because you're Beyonce, but Beyonce is also going to give me something to watch. Like, for real. I'm not saying Rihanna's not. What I'm saying is Beyonce is going to perform. Like, she reminds me of like old school, old school dynamic.
Sade is a performer.
That old school dynamic of like performing. It's like, because here's my thing. I can come see you do some fancy stuff and sing your song. Yeah, and look at you sing your song. That's cool too, right? Because it's you singing your song. Otherwise, I'd be listening to it at the house. But now I'm looking at you singing your song. Beyonce, I'm going to see her singing her song, and she going to be putting on, like, she going to be moving. It's just like, there's a difference between those types of performers.
There is, but
there's a difference,
I think to say that Rihanna's not performing just because she's not
concerts,
dancing.
But
see, and I've been to both. I think to say Rihanna's not performing just because she's not dancing, she is performing in another theatrical way because she does have a lot of
I didn't say she wasn't performing.
Well, I'm just saying, so to just say that they're not that she's not performing, she's performing. It's just different from Beyonce. So when people say that,
I don't say
it's not. I'm just talking
Matter
about the
fact,
argument
Stephen A.
that
said that Beyonce was a better performer. So
right.
He didn't
what
say
I'm
she
saying,
wasn't performing
right.
either.
So, but what I'm saying is that the argument that keeps being made that Rihanna was not a Beyonce at the Super Bowl, and it's like she could never be because they are two different types of performers.
I don't know.
But Rihanna did show up for who and what Rihanna is.
And I don't think anybody said she wouldn't. He says she's
people
not.
People are saying this.
He
people
says she's not
Beyonce.
Not
herself.
Well, I just know Stephen A. said she's not Beyonce, and all. I mean, we already knew that. We were gonna know that after the show, and that I don't even like that. That would have never even came up to me. I would have never even thought to think about that unless Stephen A. hadn't said it and it became like a big deal, because I would never even think they're not. That's a totally. They're two totally different types of performers.
But I will say this.
I would have never said that.
I will say this though, and I'll be honest, and I would probe other people too. I don't know that I was just singing every song when Beyonce performed at the Super Bowl either. Now she did some great things. The people were moving around, but every song Rihanna played, I was standing up singing.
But here's the thing: I've seen a lot of people perform at the Super Bowl that I didn't even know any of their songs, and they were putting on a show. So I don't think that's the
That's
argument.
what I'm saying. It's more well-rounded.
We love Rihanna's
That's why I'm like,
music.
performance is less about just about what you're doing when I see you,
but the point
also about
the point I was
how
making
you make me feel.
when I said that though about me not knowing the songs. I don't have to know your songs to notice that you're a great performer. So yeah, I know Rihanna's songs, but I don't think she's the best performer. But if you want to talk about her doing good for what she normally does, fine, that's a different conversation. This conversation, like I said, I think is up now is because he wanted to put them against each other. But I would have never even thought about them being against each other because they're two totally different types of performers.
Right.
That's
but what
not
I'm
even
saying
a conversation
is
to
it's
me.
not. But what I'm saying, even with performing, there are more things about performing other than the dance moves you do. And all I'm saying is a lot of times when they compare Beyonce to Rihanna, not saying that they're the same, is they mostly compare their dancing. But there's more to performances than dancing.
But the
There's
example
stage
you
presence.
used was that
Right.
you don't think you were singing all of Beyonce's songs. So
That's
I
what I'm
guess
saying.
now
So
what you're saying is every song
So-
Beyonce sung, we know her songs too. Let's not
Right,
play.
that's what I'm not
we
saying.
know all her music.
That's what you're making my point exactly. We all recognize
know-
them, but the
same thing.
vibe wasn't created enough for us to want to sing and be engaged as it was with Rihanna's. So that's what I'm saying. Performances
can't
is
say-
more
I
than
didn't
just
say that, though.
dancing. I am.
I-
That's
oh,
my
yeah, well, I
exact
didn't.
argument.
I
is
didn't.
that
Then that's me and you
performances
are-
is more than.
that's
But
one
that's
versus
what I'm
the
saying.
other.
Right, but that's what I'm like. My exact point that I'm saying is performing is way more than just dancing.
No, but
because
you-
I recognized every Beyonce song, but didn't stand up and sing them. But while watching Rihanna was. Other people were there too. Stand up and sing. Bitch, better have my money.
I never said
moving,
that.
and it's about. I'm
but no
telling
one
you,
ever said performing was just dancing.
I'm
or
not.
just
What I'm
singing.
saying, I'm not. What
Nobody
I'm saying
said
is, I'm
that.
making my entire argument about how Stephen A. saying that she's not a good performer, and I'm
he
saying
said she's no Beyonce. That's what he said.
What I'm saying,
That's
right,
not the same thing.
right? But what you're still cutting me off. What I'm saying is that her, to me, Super Bowl performance had more people singing and moving than Beyonce's.
Oh,
whether it's
well,
Beyonce's
that's up for-
dancing,
well, that's
may
an
have
opinion,
made
though.
it
We
do
don't know
more
that.
things.
We can't say
right,
that.
but so is the argument
an
that
argument.
Rihanna is no Beyonce
She's
or
not.
Rihanna
no, that's
is
no
not
argument.
a best performer.
That's the truth. She's not Beyonce.
And Beyonce's not Rihanna either.
Okay, both of those are true though.
Right, but
so
my
he didn't
argument-
say she wasn't a good performer. He
Right.
said she's no Beyonce.
Right, but he said she's not Beyonce, and
So
then
people
continuing the
internalize
statement
that
said
how they want to.
No,
He said
he
she's no
continued the
Beyonce.
statement and said that she's not as good of a performer. And I'm saying on the Super Bowl stage, her performance was more engaging
But, I mean,
than
a lot of
Beyonce's.
people agree with him, so that's okay though. Yes,
They,
your
they agree
opinion.
with him
That's your
before the
opinion.
Super Bowl happened. But what I'm saying is, when
Well,
I'm
I
talking
don't
about
know.
a performer,
I don't know any numbers like that. But what I'm saying is, like, people. Can,
but so
people
right now,
say,
can you say that her performance was better or worse than Beyonce's when you saw it?
This is what I'm gonna say. When we
No,
start,
that is the question.
no, when
was
we-
her performance
hold
better
on.
or worse than
when
Rihanna's?
we start talking about better or worse, then we need to first lay out a criteria.
That's exactly what I said.
Okay, well, then we need to lay out a criteria, and obviously, where we're coming to is your criteria must be different from other people's criteria, and that's fine. But we would both need to agree on a criteria and then go from there. I don't believe. I don't think there was anything wrong with what he said about her not being a Beyonce, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it still doesn't take anything from her. Like, I don't.
I'm
think
not
it
saying
takes
either of
anything
those
from
two things
Rihanna.
either. I'm not saying it's taking
Yeah,
it
it
from
takes
her.
nothing
I'm
from
saying
her.
that second statement, though, saying that her performance, because what people have been, the first statement or the first argument that kept happening before the Super Bowl was Rihanna versus Beyonce, which to me is like, that's a mute point. Everybody's been having that argument and they're not the same.
Yeah,
But
at
after
all.
that, the argument kept being about whose performance was better. And people, when they reference just performance, they talk about how Rihanna didn't dance. That's the one thing I hear on so many podcasts and so many arguments. They only state the fact that Rihanna didn't move a lot. And it's like, there's more to performances than moving a lot. And that's all I'm saying. And that's why I'm like, so
But
the
that's
argument
a big part of performing.
that I'm not saying that it's not
Yeah,
a
it's
piece
a
of
huge
it, but I'm
part.
not saying it's the only piece.
Yeah.
And
No,
so that's
it's
why I'm
not
like,
the
and
only
so when
piece.
people say that, I'm like, so can you truly say you were more engaged in the performance of Beyonce in the Super Bowl? And I mean, when I talk about engagement, I mean not just watching it, singing it, how you felt, than you were with the performance of Rihanna.
I wasn't as engaged. I don't remember the last time I saw Beyonce with Bruno Mars. That's the last one I'm thinking about.
She did Formation,
Yeah,
and
that's the
then
last
she
one
had
I'm
the
thinking
people
about.
coming out. They
I
were in all
remember.
black. You
I
know,
saw
like
that one, and I can't say I don't feel like I was all that engaged with Rihanna either. I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter. I'm really looking at it from like what I feel I know about both of them, the way they perform like as artists, even outside of the Super Bowl. Like I think it's just we just know who Beyonce is and what she's gonna do, and then we
Yeah.
know what Rihanna is and what she's gonna do. So
Yeah.
like to put them against each other is always, that's just sensational. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it makes her. It doesn't take anything from her. She's just a totally different type of a performer.
I agree. I guess I was just so disappointed because I've heard so many people say it sucked. It wasn't good. And then they reference Beyonce's.
I don't know that
was so the people Rihanna and even online has been being chopped down for her performance like at the Super Bowl, and it's just like,
well, people have the right to,
damn.
people can say what they want to say.
They can, but it wasn't
But
horrible.
I don't believe it sucked. I'm not.
I think U2 was worse. U2 performed at Super Bowl, and I think they are less memorable than Rihanna.
But I feel like with Rihanna, like I don't feel like any performance of her, even though she doesn't do all those things that we were just talking about necessarily, I don't ever think I can say it sucked because I like her. I like what she does.
Yes.
So the thing is,
That's
even
fair.
though she's not doing this other thing that I feel like is a whole lot of performing over here,
Yeah.
I like what she does do. So I like Rihanna. So Rihanna is just going to be who she is, and it works.
Me
whatever.
too. And I
So
kind of feel
don't
like,
think they can be compared.
and this
the
is
same.
controversial, but I kind of feel like Beyonce has to do all of that because we didn't fall in love with Beyonce's music first. We fell in love with her as a performer first, and now her music is coming along, in my opinion, or me. Whereas I think Rihanna's music leads her, and so we give her less slack for her not dancing because we identify with her music. Where I was like, Beyonce will have a whole album, and there'll be, this last one was better, but Beyonce will have a whole album, and there are like one or two songs that we like, and then a series of other songs that kind of sound similar to me. And then, whereas Rihanna will have a whole album out, and song for song, I'm like, oh, this, and then that. There's like 50 songs on Anti where I'm like, this, that, and third. Beyonce don't have one album where I'm like, every song that plays on it, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Especially pre-partition Beyonce. Like when she was on that single lady shit and all that, like the album Deja Vu, I bet I would probe people to name 5 songs on that Deja Vu album. Or maybe Dangerously in Love was a kind of better album. But
again, even with that, I feel like they're two totally different artists. Like I actually feel like Rihanna, it's like Beyonce's image, like she's like, I noticed I was obviously a huge Beyonce fan, Destiny's Child, when they were very young. You say no, 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 no. When it's really yeah. Okay. And so it's so funny because it's like,
why did I write out the lyrics to Can You Pay My Bills and give it to somebody?
But
why did I write that out and give it to my boyfriend? Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my telephone?
That was everything to me.
But did you? Why I didn't understand? This is a pause, but I'll let you finish. But why I didn't understand "Say My Name" until that movie Nick Cannon came out when she was like, "Say my name" with Christina Milian, and she was like, say my, and I'm like, say my name, say my name. I'm like, if no one is around you,
you didn't know that. Did it make
because I was so young, I didn't really get what it was saying. It's like she asking me like, no, if you ain't doing nothing shady, call me baby. Say love you.
And you know what's funny is like that's how you know I'm showing my age.
It's
It's because this is back before video phones. So it's like if a motherfucker was on the phone with you and he was like talking, like he could try and construe it as him talking to his homeboy. So it's like, why
they
you
would
and
not
then
try. They would,
and then you hear girls' voices in the background. So you like, oh, so you being funny. So say my name. Why you not saying my name? You're like, oh, you tripping.
Say my name.
And he like, oh, you tripping.
That's just he's like sitting back like,
acknowledge.
That's just my people.
Yeah, that's just my people.
I'm out here with friends.
Oh no, it's not.
You know?
My boy cousin and stuff. I'm like, oh, for real. I'm like, oh, so now you're not saying my name. You normally call me baby and everything. Like, hey, babe.
It's all love. It's all
like
baby.
you playing.
But I was young when it came out, right? So until I was older, I didn't really understand. I'm like, oh,
such a mess.
Say my name.
Say my name. Say my name. And no one is.
Because I was in elementary school when Beyonce's first album came out. Because I remember we did Bills for my like 5th grade like talent show. Me and my friends, we did like, can you pay my bills? Can you pay my telephone bills?
That's one of my favorite songs.
We were Beyonce, even though we were it. I was Beyonce, clearly. And, of course, we lost 2 members, too, just like they did. So it was 5 of us, and it ended up being 3 of us. But
yes, no. LaToya and Farrah,
but you were saying they are different. They are very different artists.
Yeah, they're very different. And what's funny to me, too.
They feel like different sides of me.
They're totally different. And exactly. That's the funny thing about it is, like, I remember growing up on Beyonce when she was with Destiny's Child. And I remember even when she still had that high school boyfriend, Lavelle. I even know his name, Lavelle. And then I remember you just hearing now that she's with Jay-Z. There might have been a few things in between, but it was like she jumped straight to being with the man she's now married to. I actually feel like Beyonce is that she talks about some nasty, raunchy things sometimes, but it's like she's the clean girl, the good girl.
I feel like falling in love. How you feel? I ain't even gonna speak that on air, because I'll talk to you about it later. But this girl at work today said some trifling shit about Beyonce, and though I am in the Navy, I am a Beyonce fan, or
Yeah,
I'm a
we
fan
love
of what
them both.
I love them
We
both.
love
I'm a
them
fan of
both.
what Beyonce stands for, which is class and ass. I've said that before. And so like being classy, but also being sexy. That's why I say class and ass, because she got that ass, she got that wagon, but she also is very classy. So she represents
beautiful.
just like the well-roundedness of a black woman, and I love that. And so a girl today at work who I think is trifling anyway said some stuff about Beyonce, and it was almost my last day because I almost said some stuff to her. She said that cuffing is about drugs, and I was like, no, it's not. And I was like, it's sexual. It's
How?
I said, you may not understand what an innuendo is, but it's when you say one thing. It's like she was like falling in love. I'm in the mood to fuck something up. I want to go get higher. I'm like, she's talking about climaxing.
God, how old was she?
This is a woman. She's like 36.
But
I'm like, I said, these are all. I said these are actually double entendres,
Yeah.
and these are sexual innuendos, and you might not understand that because you kind of simple.
She really took it as like,
She
that
said,
is so
she like,
funny.
and I know Beyonce's on drugs, and I'm like, no, she's not. She's like, you think she all good, girl? And I was like, no, don't think that. Even if she was, she would think that in a song like that because she has a wherewithal to not sing about anything else trifling.
No, come on.
And she's like, I mean, it sounds like I'm gonna get higher. And I was like, these all sound like. And I was like, have you ever climaxed?
But what's funny too is when you're in love, it is likened to you being high.
It is a drug.
It is likened to you being
That's
high.
what I'm like, it is
so
a-
she just didn't
I
understand.
want to get high.
Yeah,
She is ghetto.
like,
So
I feel like falling in love because when you fall, I'm in the mood to fuck something up. Because the thing is, when you in love, you want to fuck. You like, you know what? I
put
feel
some
like
drink in
I
my
feel like
cup.
feeling like we got a connection. Because I want to just like.
and then she says, when I get on top of you,
yes,
we gon'
fuck up the night.
like we about to fuck it up, you know.
Till you see stars.
Till you. And she said that. I was like, oh, you might not. I was like,
She
because
don't
everybody at
know.
work. Because then the question at work came up about how many times do you feel like you need to do it a week? Because she was like,
Lord, here they go.
and do you think the more times you do it, do you feel like it's less impactful? Because she said, seeing stars, that's getting high. I said, no, that's like you ain't seen your boo in a couple of weeks and you and him connecting. It's like seeing stars because you
Yeah.
are just so enamored.
Till you
And she
see
was like, that
stars.
sounds like drugs. And I'm like, and she was like, well, maybe it's because I have sex every day. And I'm like, maybe it's because
Oh
you were
my
a basic
God.
man.
Did she say that?
She did. It got really
Who
raunchy
is
at
she
work.
having sex with every day? Though?
Clearly not her baby daddy, but
Can't be. He worked.
she not with him no more. But allegedly they weren't even together when they had a baby. But I ain't gonna judge.
Of course not.
But
No.
I'm like, everything she sounds to me, the sounds euphoric. It's not like she describing like finding your boo and just being like,
higher.
till you see
stars.
stars.
And that's the thing, like,
Till
you do want to
you
go higher.
elevate.
Yeah, I feel like, because falling in love feels so good.
Okay, so how many times do you need to have sex a week? And do you think by having sex more than 3 to 4 times a week, do you make each time having sex less impactful?
I think we need to have sex 3 times a week. I need to do that.
Me too.
That's a
I
necessity.
said 4 to 5.
And if I can fin you off them other times, I will, so that it just keeps it a little bit more exciting. Fin you off because 3 times, there's 4 more days that you're going to want to do something probably.
I was thinking like maybe not Wednesday.
Why not Wednesday? Because it's called hump day. You got to hump on Wednesday.
No, I was just thinking about maybe I'm tired from Tuesday after the podcast. Because you know we get lit and I'm going to go home
Yeah.
singing.
But I'm definitely.
So I'm thinking
definitely-
Tuesday for
I'm
sure.
definitely doing it at the podcast.
And that's what I'm saying. So
'Cause we
I'm
be
definitely
lit.
doing it on Tuesday. I'm definitely doing it on Sunday. I'm definitely doing it on Friday. And I'm possibly doing it on Thursday if we hang out. So I'm thinking.
Friday, skip Saturday, you do a Sunday, skip
No.
Monday, do Tuesday.
Okay, but I might have sex during the Lord's Day because you know how you wake up early on Saturday and you just be sitting on the couch doing stuff and then you just want to have sex then.
Oh my God.
So I'm thinking definitely Saturday, Sunday, Friday. Because
Yeah.
Friday we go to happy hours together. So Friday
Period.
post happy hour, see your man.
Like
Saturday, maybe y'all get dressed up and have date night. Saturday night. Sunday around 1 o'clock after church. And then
1 o'clock after church.
so maybe Monday I'm tired. Tuesday after the podcast. Wednesday I probably have done it too much for the rest of the week.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like with 3 good days, it's like a good space in between and like keep them kind of still wanting
Your
you.
period is a good space
Send
in
me a
between though.
text. Your period is a good space in between.
You know, Catholics
But,
don't sleep in the same room.
I mean, it's also just a period.
I'm calling you daddy. It's not a space bar. Yo, I ain't took my IUD out yet. Post IUD, you know,
Hey,
it's
you
gonna
ain't
be
see-
more than
You
5.
ain't see
3
that
days.
baby
That's
that
like
came
2
out, that
days.
lady holding her IUD? The baby, yo, she gave birth to that baby. Baby came out holding the IUD, eyes closed in his left hand. Like, what you thought?
Till you see stars.
Till you
snatched it.
Come on. But you know what? We got to talk about these streets. Streets be calling my name. The streets be calling my name. Come on.
calling.
Come on.
Come on.
First of all, Kimmy has to tell us how these streets is looking, because she's a street sweeper. Tell us about what you got going. Yo, Kimmy got the, and you know what? You need to give me my credit where credit is due. Tell them about all the suggestions I gave. Give the story, and then tell them what I suggested.
Okay, so I just like my streets calling story this week. It's just like, I don't know. I just really get into that like schoolgirl. I got a crush on you, LL Cool J, alone in my room type of, you know.
Aisha, you are the girl that I never had.
I gotta let you know that I got a crush on you, you know, type of deal. Like, I love that feeling. And so me, Cookie, and Kanye Westy were just out in the streets. Long story short, we stopped by one of our favorite watering holes. Shout out to Agave Shore on Welton Street.
Hello,
Black
Chuck.
owned.
Black
Let's
owned.
keep 5 points black.
Kind of black.
Kind of black. Tan. Tan.
We need them bike lanes and them dog
Let's
parks.
tan it.
Go ahead.
But also shout out to Spangalang. So we were
Spangalang,
stopping by
Spangalang.
Spangalang. Shout out to also being black owned. And then rode over to Agave Shore. Long story short, they may or may not wasn't going to let my dog in, but I definitely felt a judgmental look from a black lady who let me know that even though they might have let me in with my dog.
She was worried about that lady too much. My thing is, Chuck said, go ahead, just tell her to bring the dog in here. I said, no, is your outside patio open? No, just bring the dog in. Y'all can sit right there, and then I'll move y'all right there. But Kimmy felt like the black lady sitting by the window was looking at her like, she better not bring that dog in here.
Because really her judgment was my own judgment.
Yeah, it was
because
her. It was
when
projected.
because when
Come
I
on.
see folks with their dog indoors by my food, I'm like, yo, they hair everywhere. Even though I know my dog doesn't be shit,
Disgusting.
it just feels nasty. Because of course he gonna either lay on the floor or because he can't sit in the chair, so
Yeah.
then he gonna be pulling me to whatever. So I saw her looking at me like, which let me realize that she was feeling that same energy that I was feeling. So then we took him home, came back
Yeah.
because we really couldn't find him, and we had a beautiful day. Actually, we walked up and down. Like we told y'all about it last week, though. We walked up and
I
down
told y'all
Larimer.
I told y'all about it from my point of view. Now you're getting Kimmy's perspective.
We walked up and down Larimer. We saw somebody running for office, all kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, black
So
lady.
we go
with
in
the
Agave
lace
Shore.
front.
It's our, we shout out. We love them. We love Tasha there. Shout out to the owners. It's just a great place. And I just ended up making this connection that just felt like a Andre 3000 song. It just felt like, and I don't know, did I look like, I didn't know I was making that connection when we first made it.
Well, I know this. You didn't know?
No.
You a deliberate creator. You ain't no creator by default. You pointed them. You don't. So you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to say that
I
one.
can't lie.
That's me.
I did not say that. When I saw him, I definitely made a conversation.
Well, he was so
I made
tall.
a comment to Cookie like, I'd be liking
We
a
about
certain
to
type of guy or whatever. But
We about to chronicle this whole thing because I swear, witnessing it in the beginning, because she picked you said because he's 6'9", because Kimmy's pretty tall, so obviously the man needs to be
Stallion.
tall.
Shout
and
out
this man
Megan.
stuck out past everybody. Obviously, he's taller than everybody in the room.
he was standing.
And he was kind of fly and everything, like, and he was whatever. All I know is, I don't even want to. So all I know is I was sitting there, and then I didn't have my friend no more. So I had nobody to talk to. You know when you sitting somewhere, right?
She gone.
And you
I'm
gotta
just kidding.
have people, and you got your friend.
I was still
but your
sitting
friend
there.
not talking to you. So now random.
Listen, my back was the Cookie like this.
I'm using my one nigga card now. Random niggas was coming up to me and
My
talking
back
to
was
me.
completely turned to Cookie.
Man,
I'm like, she good.
like she ain't even come with me. I'm
like, she good. She good.
So now I'm talking to niggas. So niggas is coming up talking to me because I'm by the bar, and I'm like, so now I'm entertaining, talking to them, which y'all know from last week got me in trouble. But yeah, she was over there making a whole connection.
First of all, I always kept my eyes on Cookie. And
I mean,
every
I was
time,
safe or whatever, but I'm
Every
saying.
time I order me a shot, I order one too.
I mean,
But-
that's true. I had a lot of drinks and food and stuff. I'm just saying I had nobody to talk to.
I mean, she was well entertained.
I'm just
'cause
saying, like, I'd entertain
I told y'all,
myself.
Kimmy got that thing that be Kimmy. But, but so it just felt like love. And of course, we ended up going to an alternate spot. Cookie told y'all all the details last week. But it just felt like a connection. And I just really think it's so interesting how you meet certain people and you just vibe. I don't know if it's for a moment, for a lifetime. I will say the other times I've had this feeling, it's turned into something because it's just like, I don't think you feel that from nothing. There's a certain amount of energy. Like I think that energy works like electricity, where it, you know, how they tell you not to search certain things because you'll become a transaction for it and you feel it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you put your hand on one thing and something else, then you'll become a direct current and you won't get shocked, right?
Yeah.
It's called grounding yourself.
Yeah.
But if you're not grounded, you feel the shock of this energy exchange and then you lose energy. That's why you die when you get electrocuted, because it's the exurgence of the energy is where you die. And it feels like that. Sometimes you get electrocuted and you electrocute something back and it just feels like this exchange of this like shock. And it felt like that. So long story short, or long story long, because I'm still going on. Like we vibed out. Like I know we just talked about life and all these things, and so you know, next couple weeks it's been kind of just interesting communication. So Kimmy gave me a great suggestion because when we were vibing out, we talked about some of our goals and some things we wanted, and he just talked about something that was really important to him. And he had invited me, saying, "Hey, come, this is something really important," and he said it in passing, and it's like 2 weeks later, and so Kimmy also made a good suggestion about how, like, sometimes we got to put ourselves out there too, you know. So like not only
I got that from
listening,
my other friend. I didn't originate
Cookie.
that because it's hard for me to do that same thing. But
right? So Cookie was like, you know, put yourself out there too.
maybe we should, because he did extend himself.
He did.
I mean, he was clear.
So I'm going tomorrow to like this event that he talked about. We haven't really circled back on it, but I'm going tomorrow, putting myself out there,
And
taking
she
a
brought
little
him a gift. She's got him a gift.
Got a little gift, so
And she
you'll
got him
see
a
how it
book.
goes.
Listen, guys,
Maybe
she
this
got
is the beginning of our love story.
And I told her to write. She's gonna make reference to something that he said to her
Mm-hmm.
in one of the conversations they had the night that they
One of the
met,
many.
where he talked about not feeling like he belongs in some of the rooms that he's been in.
Yeah,
And what are you gonna say? What are we gonna say? What are we gonna say? What do we say we're gonna say?
I think I want to say something like,
Write in the book. Go ahead.
You know, like you belong in every room.
Remember,
you're
you
in.
belong in any room you walk into. Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. And boom,
love
love
that.
Brit. And then he talked about the Toastmaster speech. You're gonna go see his speech. He's not. I don't even know if he's really thinking you even remember that.
Yeah,
So you're gonna show up with a gift,
yeah.
book signed, and then she gonna walk out like she got other shit to do. But for real, y'all, between me and you, she ain't got shit to do.
So here's the thing. Originally, I did. That's what's so crazy. Look how God works.
She ain't got shit to
Originally, I had
do.
something to do, but I was so worried about because I knew I was gonna have to leave for what I had to do.
Could the universe be opening up your schedule because he gonna
feels
ask
like
you?
it.
He gonna ask you to marry him right after?
I feel so. I feel like it.
or to breakfast.
And I'ma say
we'll
no.
take breakfast if he ain't gonna try to marry you.
I'm gonna possibly say no to both, but
Come on.
it did feel like the universe opened up because this event that I really, really had to go to
Yeah.
was supposed to be at tomorrow, and it's actually ended up on Thursday, and it's gonna be on Wednesday. So
now she's free after.
Stay tuned,
Stay tuned.
to
So
see
we'll
how
let y'all
it
know how it goes because
chronicling out here on these streets, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
chronicling.
for real.
Yeah.
And it's like, it don't matter because it's like every week we meet somebody in the street. So,
It is,
I mean,
yeah.
if it ain't him, it'll be another nigga.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyways, we gotta go. I love you.
I love you.
And we don't always agree. I feel you. But it don't matter. It's all good.
But it's so good.
Break.